All right. Okay, it's 6 o'clock. I'm going to call the meeting to order. First thing we need to do is approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Jill and Curtis. Moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we need to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Ryan Ruda and Ryan Schravogel. Moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, recognitions.
Here in a little bit, we're going to be having the internal audit report. Chastity's here to share that with us. But the recognition, I'd like to do a shout out to the central office staff, Mike, Robin, Norma, Keisha. They just do a really nice job. And there's lots of pieces and parts that go into that whole report. And for yet another year, it's real nice and clean. So that's good.
All right, on to financials. Michael.
We set a record, man.
Yeah,
But you see the final, the total.
I like it.
Mike set a
Yeah,
record.
just to warn you, the warrants were a little high this month, but I'll point out the big ones. On page 1, down at the bottom, the payment for the copiers. We finally got the copiers. They were several months late, but $17,940 for them. And then on page 3, we got tax money flow through from the county to the rec, $316,926.84. And then on page 5, Service Master, $45,269 to clean up at the middle school. And then on page 6, the high school boiler, one of them was, replaced or fixed, $24,765. And then down below, we've made the payment for the new chiller that's on its way, $312,075. So the warrants are $1,048,874.16.
Yes, you may go up on that. But over $350,000 of that was turned into insurance, and so even though it shows on here, because the money went away from us, it's coming back to us.
Well, and flow through,
Right.
300 and some grand.
We already received that $316,000 or for the chillers.
Good job, Mike, that's a record.
Yeah. Page 10, we got our cash balances are a little bit more than last month because we've got the county money through the county. So that's why you're noticing a little bit better amounts in our cash balances. And then page 12, our expense summary. We're exactly where we expect to be at this time with our budgets. And then behind that's the transfers and the high school and middle school reports. So if you have any questions.
All right, if no one has any questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the financials at $1,048,874.16.
Jump out there, Ryan. Your name in the minutes.
So moved.
Ryan Schravogel
Second.
and Curtis. Moved and seconded to approve the financials. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, no public patron concerns, so we'll move to administrative reports and Dr. Meyer.
All righty, four things to talk to you about tonight. With the ESSER funds, ESSER 3, we've learned, they keep changing, the bouncy ball keeps changing. We now may use those monies for curriculum materials, which is a good use. A year from now, we do our math adoption. It'll run about $200,000, and so by turning that in through ESSER monies, that's in and out, it flows through for us. From there, we'll resubmit the entire application, looking at taking care of the people, curriculum, and then what other things we choose to utilize it for. If you recall, that has to be out the door by September 30th of 2024. So with the newfound information that we can use it for curriculum materials, that's a good thing. We'll be able to expend the funds. The chiller project update, as Mike already referred to, we've got it on order. If you'll recall, that will be delivered in December or January. because that's how we do things in that world. We're still working with Trane to give us a contract for the temporary chiller if we need one. And they sent us a contract that made it look, they thought it was correct, but it's not, because it's charging us even if we don't use it. And it's hinky, so we're not there yet. But we've got a few months before the heat comes back to us. Want to take the opportunity to talk about the MTSS process taking place. If you'll recall, we're launching K-12 at this point. Elementaries have been doing MTSS for 5, 6, 7 years. Now we're going into the secondary world, and we're in phase 2, which is involving the teachers themselves. And so on last Friday, we had the whole staff came together and engaged with the MTSS work that's taking place, which, if you recall, it personalizes the interventions as need be with the individual kids if they move into the different tiers. And the last thing to talk to you about is the water damage project. Was in there today. We're back in the classrooms. Should be in the office next week if everything goes according to Hoyle. Still working on the carpet settlement. We're still at loggerheads on that one with the insurance folk, but we will continue fighting that. We did receive $48,000 from EMC. There's another 40 some odd coming our way, and we're in the process of ordering the furniture. So we'll be crossing that off the list here fairly soon. And I will give a shout out to Tyler and his crew. His people have just accepted. Been real gracious with the entire thing being displaced. I know Curtis wandered in there and saw the war zone. If anybody else happened to have seen it, it's quite something what water can do to a portion of a school. So, but go see it now. Totally different. The groups have done a nice job. So that's my report.
Let's move to buildings. Tom? Nothing further? Okay. Lance is out and Sam's out. So food services, Monica?
Sam did want me to tell you, though, the bus that we ordered back in April, once again, everything's so slow, should be delivered over spring break. Or, wish in one hand, hope in the other. But that's what's supposed to be taking place.
At least it wasn't a year.
Not quite.
Less, yeah.
Not quite a year.
Months. All right. Okay. Monica? Nothing further. Okay. Technology, Mr. Ackerman?
Nothing further.
Okay. Principals, Mrs. Albright.
I wanted to highlight a portion of my report. We have completed our winter testing with FastBridge, and so we calculated our growth that our students made from fall to winter, and we had some pretty amazing results. So with our KISA process, our building goal at the end of this year is to hope to have 50% of the student growth in the typical or aggressive growth instead of the flat lining. So the two higher end portions of the growth. And for reading, we currently have 73% of the students in that typical and aggressive, so we're well above that 56%. So hopefully we continue to grow and show that much growth at the end when we have fall to spring. In math, our goal at the end of this year is to be at 62%, and we're currently sitting at 81%. So we had some amazing growth in both reading and math, and hopefully we continue to see that.
Thank you. All right, Mrs. Tyne.
I also just wanted to highlight a piece of my report. Our fifth graders have been part of some pretty amazing learning. I did write in there about our the DARE program that they went through and completed. It's a 10-week program. There were several things that they talked about, all relating to healthy choices and, just becoming aware of what happens, when not so healthy choices are made, but also, how you can make those. They practiced those. So that was great for them. But also, when we get to fifth grade, sometimes we start to think that we're a little big for elementary. We start to go through some of those. We see a little bit more conflict. We see a little bit more kind of experimenting with language and maybe how we interact with each other at that grade level. So we did put together, based on the needs that we see through behaviors and things like that, we try to put in or find speakers to come and talk to the kids about different aspects of character. And so we were very thankful. We had Todd Tishner come in, we had John Sanders come in, Officer Shelton, and then we had our high school all-in group, just to kind of talk to students as they begin to think about middle school. Talked about the importance of being involved at both middle school and high school. We also talked about vaping. Officer Shelton talked about that and the damage that it can do. So even though that had been discussed, I'm sure, in our DARE program, that was something that we discussed even further, just so students are aware of what can happen if that's a choice that is made. Talked about our reputation and how the things that we do can follow us. And so just some real life examples of that. And John Sanders was the one that was leading that group. And then, like I said, Todd Tishner was also in to talk about the importance of having good character. So I always like that for our 5th grade students. And like I said, we try to tailor that to the needs that we see from each specific group. Oftentimes they are similar though. So that's all I had.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Helton.
The item I wanted to highlight is I'll be working with our other administrators and Holcomb Police. I'd like to organize a public forum open to the community to talk about cyberbullying. I felt Mrs. Tyne mentioned vaping. I think through Parent View University the past couple of years, we've been at least able to inform parents more about what vaping is and what it can do. Chief Williams was a great resource to us on that. I think it's helped everyone at least have a baseline of understanding of it. Cyberbullying is a growing problem. It's the worst I've had in my 6 years here. And it doesn't take much searching on Google to see students who take their own lives from it. Saw one in Iowa just before I came in today. So I think it needs to be a community approach. It's unrealistic for us to expect all parents to take their phones away from their kids. Also, I think it's important that parents are knowledgeable of what capacity we have to deal with it. Education is more what we can do. And bringing law enforcement in to discuss, there's really limited statutes on cyberbullying in Kansas. It's not very extensive at all. So I think coming together as a community, talking that through, at least starting dialogue on it. I want to offer that. It's the closest thing to proactive I can think to be as a community, because I certainly don't want that coming this way. So I'll get a date to you when I have one. Thanks.
Thanks, Tyler. All right, Mr. Johnson.
My one extra is to highlight this coming Thursday night, we're going to have a Longhorn Legacy Night. What that's going to look like is from noon to 5, if we remember. I guess I should backtrack. First semester, we surveyed all the parents in Holcomb just to see what parent-teacher conferences look like, what they'd like to see. We took the results, we talked with our BLT, and we came up with Longhorn Legacy Night. So it provides the opportunity for each one of the parents to kind of get what they wanted to see out of parent-teacher conferences. From noon to 5, we're going to have open conferences where it come and go for parents that they can come in and talk to the individual teachers. Teachers are still providing the comments through our parent contact logs, so they'll be sending those out during that time too. So each parent should be getting from their homeroom teacher comments that all the teachers have about their student, and that's something that they said that they enjoyed. And then from 5 to 8, we're going to host what we call our course selection night. Mrs. Johnson will be in the auditorium, and tomorrow we'll send out times that each one of the parents can come, and they can go over and see what courses they're able to select for the next year. And it'll also be like a graduation plan. So all freshmen will be together, then sophomores will be together, juniors and seniors as we go through that. Actually not seniors, it'll just be the freshmen through juniors this year currently for their course selection. We'll also have Garden City Community College coming out, several of the ones that have dual credit programs. I think there's up to 8 programs that are going to be there to talk to parents about these are the different options that we have. that we co-sponsor with Garden City Community College. And then we'll also be feeding everybody. So we're having hamburgers and hot dogs, and we'll have a short video that parents can get a QR code, and they can see what standards-based grading is going to be about. And so it's a chance for parents to come out and look at the video, ask questions to the teachers that'll be around and myself that'll be around in the commons area, so they can gain some more clarity about what the purpose of standards-based grading is and how we're moving towards that for next year. So that'll be this Thursday night from, actually it starts at noon for parent-teacher conferences all the way till 8 o'clock. Well, thanks. Any questions?
Thanks, Jerry. All right, let's move to unfinished business and first grade presentation.
All righty. Normally on our board meetings, the highlight of any board meeting is when Mike Davis steps to the mic and talks. But tonight, it's been unseated by the first grade presentation. So put the word out, through the principals. It's nice to have different student presentations to the board. So we've been doing a little bit more of that throughout the year. And so I threw it to Amy. She said, my first grade. They want to be there. So with that, Amy, if you would introduce what's happening, that'd be great.
Well, I'm not sure if they really volunteered, but I love first grade since I taught it, so I typically go to them first and ask if they would be willing to come and talk about some of our new curriculum units that we've been doing through CKLA Amplify. And they happen to be working on a unit over solar systems. And so we have some students here to talk about some of the learning that they have gained through that knowledge. So I'll have the first grade teachers come up and start with that.
Okay, we have been working on the solar system, and we also just transitioned into learning about the layers of the Earth. So I have Lucas here, and he's going to give you one fact about the moon. Okay, ready?
Astronauts travel to the moon by rockets.
And I have Beck here, and he's going to give you 2 facts. Okay.
The footprints of the astronauts will stay there for thousands of years.
And what else? One more.
The moon orbits around the Earth.
Good job.
All right, and here we have Penelope Milligan, and she wants to read all 4 of her facts.
There is no air on the moon. A man walked on the moon. There used to be lava on the moon. There is a flag on the moon.
We also had one more friend who got sick, and so he's not joining us tonight. But he also did the same, and we learned quite a bit. This is the craft that they put together. They wrote several facts, different facts throughout first grade. They made the moons, and then they put it together. So this is their little craft that they did.
Nicely done. No, I knew that.
So we also have Penny, who's going to show you a little bit about Seesaw. That is our communication tool that we use district-wide, but in the elementary world, we use it to share our learning with our families, and they also have activities that the teachers can post assignments and the kids can do. So Penny's going to kind of walk you through that.
Penny is going to show you how she will take a picture of her craft or her activity and then record that for her parents to see.
So I will hit the plus button that says add. And then I will hit the camera that says photos. And then I would hold my picture up. And then I would hit the camera button. And then I would hit the record button. And then I would hit start recording. And then I would say, hi, Mom and Dad. This is what we learned about. We learned about the moon. There used to be a flag on the moon. There is no air on the moon. There used to be lava on the moon. A man walked on the moon. Bye, Mom and Dad. Love you. And then I would hit the done button with the check mark. And then I would hit the check mark button again. And then it's posted.
So then mom and dad get a notification saying that they've got a new post, and so they can go into her messages and watch her video, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay, first grade students, it's an obligation when you come to the board meetings, particularly if you do a presentation, we offer you cookies. Now, it's up to your parents whether you get those cookies, but we have them over, Robin is taking care of it. So you're welcome to hang around for the rest of the meeting. It just gets better and better. But if I were you, I might get a cookie and decide to do something else. But it's up to you,
It's really exciting.
particularly the next topic.
Yes.
Thank you, first grade. Thank you, first grade teachers. Thank you, parents.
Yep, good
Nicely
job.
done.
All right, as they're getting their cookies, we will move to the independent audit.
Okay, as you well know, statutorily, I don't know about all public entities in Kansas, probably, but schools, for sure, statutorily need to or have to employ an independent third-party auditor to come in and check our business practices, basically. And it's a deep dive, you know, the amount of work that goes on and the details that are pulled, and then they write up their report and they bring it, and, you know, by law, present it to the board. And that's what Chastity is here to do tonight.
Okay, so the loose leaf paper in the front is the governance letter. We're just required to kind of give some information to you guys about what you're responsible for and kind of what we're responsible for. So management is responsible for the selection and use of appropriate accounting policies. There were no new accounting policies adopted, and the existing policies were not changed during the year. We noted no transactions entered into by the district during the year for which there was a lack of authoritative guidance or consensus. So everything was approved. You guys do a great job. All significant transactions have been recognized in the financial statement in the proper period. And then professional standards require us to accumulate all known and likely misstatements identified during the audit. And they were corrected by management. We just recorded some payroll liabilities, just the way your guys' software is set up. We do it every year, no big deal. There was an additional $460,000 of payables recorded for part of your farm project, the farm building project. And there were no disagreements for management. They all get along great. Mike and Robin do a great job, and Scott. So, and then if you want to flip in a few pages to where page 1 for the independent audit report. You do get an adverse opinion due to the fact that you don't use generally accepted accounting principles. You use regulatory basis of accounting, but you get an unmodified opinion, which is the clean opinion for that type of accounting. Let's see. Management is responsible for the presentation and fair presentation of this financial statement in accordance with the Kansas Municipal Audit and Accounting Guide, and it's later described in Note A. Our objectives during the audit was to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statement as a whole is free from material misstatement, whether due from fraud or error, and we didn't know any issues. Later on, you will see columns that have 2021 numbers in it, and it's just for comparative purposes, and we do consider those to be fairly stated also. And then on page 5, It's just kind of a snapshot of all your funds, beginning cash, receipts, expenditures, unencumbered cash, and then your payables amount. Your ending unencumbered cash was down, but you guys did have a lot of projects that you were getting finished up. So, any questions so far? And then page 7 is the summary of significant accounting policies that kind of just outlines how KMAG works for you guys. And there is a paragraph in there as a reason why you get an unmodified opinion and not an adverse opinion. There was no budget violations noted, and then there was $321,000 worth of in-substance receipts. The state sends you guys your last payment amount in July, have to be recorded in June. We did note that there was a few cash basis violations, but they were all in federal funds, which is allowed by another statute. So all good there. We did note that the deposits were all adequately secured at year end. Capital projects, the only that one we noted during the year, because it started in the prior year, was a playground, and it was finished up during the year, so no more there for that. Long-term debt, beginning balance, you guys made your payments, all good. And then the defined benefit is capers, which they put money into your account, they take it out. It's fun. No H is the interfund transfers. Statutorily, all the money has to go into the general fund or supplemental general fund, and then it gets transferred over to the budgeted funds to be used. Risk management, we didn't know any issues. Contingencies, you guys do get federal funds, state funding, so there is always a possibility that they might come back and say that the expense wasn't allowed. We didn't know any of them, but it is a possibility. And then the only note that we had for subsequent events is the ongoing coronavirus. Any questions? All right. Page 15 is your kind of a snapshot of all your budgeted funds, what the budget was, and how much was spent based off those. And in the right-hand column, there was no brackets, so no budget violations. Next page, general fund, pretty much the same as the prior year. Spent down all your budget. That's what we like to see. Supplemental general. Pretty good there. No problem. Bilingual education. You notice that the instruction expenses went down, but so did the transfer in. So everything ended kind of the same. Capital outlay. Down at the bottom, you'll notice that unencumbered cash decreased quite a bit, but then again, that's due to the farm building being finished up. Driver training, nothing much changed there. Food service, you'll notice that your cash did increase some. There was additional federal aid due to all students being free, so that helped some. Professional development, not much changed. Same with parents and teachers. Most of the funds stay pretty consistent throughout the year, or throughout the years. And then special education, you'll notice that it did increase just slightly. Just transfer from general increased. Career and post-secondary education, right in line with prior year, also no issues. Preschool aged at risk, you'll notice that the transfer went down, but so did instruction. That was just more salaries were paid out of your general at-risk fund as opposed to preschool at risk. There was some teacher moving. And then at risk, you'll see that its expenses went up a little bit, but so did the transfers in. Capers, it goes in, it goes out. And the rec fund, you guys received all the money from the counties, and you appropriated it accordingly, and the same with the rec commission employee benefit fund. Your non-budgeted funds, most of those are grant funds, and they don't change from year to year too much. I did want to note that the federal grants has a negative cash balance, and that's just due to your ESSER funding not coming in all the way yet. It was drawn down after year end. And then the student materials, you can notice that expenses were quite high in that one, and you guys bought some new textbooks and digital stuff. Bond and interest fund, collect the money, make the payment, and your cash balance looks really good. You guys have at least 2 years worth of bond and interest money to be able to pay for the next few years. District activity funds held at the school level and There was no issues with any of those. And the same with the agency funds, which are the kids' money. Everything looked nice and good with those also. Any questions? And then on the appendices, there's just some additional reports due to you guys having a single audit. You guys received and spent more than $750,000 worth of federal funding. So then we just have to do a deep dive into one of your federal programs. And we noted that you guys did spend 1.17 million, but we didn't know any issues with any of it. So, and then the rec commission reports are behind that. Any questions on any of that? All right. And we will file that with the state and the feds. I did give Mike a new engagement letter for next year, and thanks. You guys are always great to work with.
We appreciate it. And like I said, they do a deep dive. I mean, it's not a wink and a nod. They come and do the work and spend several days and to make sure that everything's on the up and up, and we appreciate it. It's good to have good fences, make good neighbors, and we need to go to the doctor every once in a while and really look to see if our hair is getting grayer. So then they do that for us. So are any questions for me about any of this? Because I recommend that the board accept this and, move forward.
I'll make a motion to accept the audit report.
Second.
Casey and Curtis. It's been moved and seconded to accept and approve the report from the independent audit report. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. KISA update.
All right, principals, be on your toes here. The KISA, if you'll recall, we're in our second year of the new 5-year cycle. I've asked the principals to be prepared to talk to you about the strategies we're putting into play, frankly, to address our goals. And Randy and or Amy touched on this. Our goals academically deal with our fast bridge testing. We want typical and aggressive growth. 80% of our kids to experience that by the 5th year. And we've got individual building goals. That's the 80% is for the district, the entire district. And so there's a variety of strategies underway to address all that. So if any one of you guys want to talk about teacher clarity, MTSS Phase 2, scoreboards, or Tiers 2 and 3 protocols, just jump out there. How about scoreboards? That's why you're my favorite, Amy.
We currently have our scoreboards up in the 2 elementary buildings. Secondary is working on exactly what that looks like at their level, since they're kind of departmentalized instead of grade level. So if you're in our buildings, you can come and see that. But each time the grade levels give like an end of the unit assessment in reading or math, we calculate the overall grade average, and that is what is posted in the hallway on the scoreboards, as well as our current year's goal is posted at the top. So it states what we're trying to get to by the end of this year, which will be changed each year as we work our way up toward that 5th year 80%. And obviously the idea is if we continue to see averages within the 80s, then hopefully our end of the year average is about that as well. So that's kind of what
Amy,
they are.
if you could talk about a little, or Randy, or whomever, why do we post them or we have them posted?
It's kind of just to let the community and parents and families know more about what our KISA goals are, to showcase our learning, and I think it's just a good communication tool to talk the talk, basically.
It's transparency in general, and everybody sees the goal.
Yep.
And see how we're doing. And it's funny because I've had fellow superintendents ask, "Well, where do you post these?" We said in the hallway. We put ours in the workroom. Well, we want people to see them. The data is the data, and so the first step of dealing with anything like that is just it is the data. Now we know where we are. Let's move. Let's work on it. So, good on principals leading that path. Tyler, talk about teacher clarity, what we're doing in that realm, please.
Can I add something?
Sure, Randy.
Thank you. I just wanted to also add with the scoreboard, I think that also as kids get older, it builds that ownership for them because they can see this is how we did as a group, and we can talk about, our goal is to continue to increase that number or also give more value to the assessments. Sometimes we see that kids don't see the value in that and will rush through them or things like that. So we feel like that will build that as well and give them ownership to see their improvement showcased in the hallway where they can see it and others are going to see it too.
On teacher clarity, the research that we've been using through MTSS and TASN is that teacher clarity has a highly effective impact on student learning in the classroom. How clear and specific are teachers with what the learning objectives are for that day? And what's the relevance of it? Why does it matter to what kids are learning? So when I do a walkthrough, whether it's the beginning of the lesson, the middle of it, when they're in the heat of the project, or at the end of it, is the teacher revisiting why this is important. And the way we measure that is I'll go around and talk to the kids during the walkthrough, as long as the teacher's not giving instruction. But do you know what you're learning today? Can you explain to me what you're learning? Today it was plate tectonics in 8th grade science. Can you explain to me why this mattered? The kid was able to tie it to the recent earthquake in Turkey. It's perfect. That's the relevance to it. So teacher clarity required some professional development at the 6-12 level. And just helping them write and fine-tune better learning objectives and make sure we communicate things to why kids matter. Because that's always what they ask, especially in math. What does this matter? When do I use this? Well, if we have those conversations with them, the hope is they buy more into it. And hopefully we have better results in the classroom.
Anything else you guys want to add on any of this stuff?
I would say we just met with our BLT last week to go over our walkthrough data with our teachers, and it showed that 90% of our teachers, it was like 91.8% of our teachers had learning intentions posted in the classroom. And 89% of the time, the teachers were teaching a lesson directly related to that learning intention, which was really good data for us to say out of 55 walkthroughs for the teachers is we're posting the material that we want students to know, and we're teaching lessons back to that learning intention. Our next focus at the high school with our walkthroughs is going to be significance to see if students are really picking up the material of what the teachers are trying to teach on daily learning intention. So the greatest thing that I've seen with this is we have a vision, like we're going after something. We know what our end goal is and we're building steps to get there, especially with the MTSS at the high school. It's given us a focus of how do we attack reading scores, how do we attack math scores, a step-by-step process with it. We're getting ready to launch what interventions will look like. We're just starting to see the science of the reading. It's what we worked on last Friday. We had building-wide, it was actually district-wide PD over the science of reading, and now we're going to start to build what building strategies do we want to do to attack our reading scores. So I think this is going to be a really, really significant step for us to be able to know exactly where students are at and then attack what interventions they need in order to help them get over the hump, which, like Dr. Myers has said always is, if you can read, then it's going to help the better we get at reading, the better all of our test scores are going to get, because that's part of our problem that we're having. So
in the grand scheme of KESA, because that's the topic for this part of the board meeting, it giveth and it taketh away. It's very exciting. Like Jerry talked about, we now really have a K-12 approach now with intentionality. I mean, we're all pulling the rope in the same direction. That's the positive, and we're excited about that. The negative still is, or the frustration for me is, I still cannot get an answer from the state on academic achievement. Every chance I get, I ask the questions. And they say, that's a good idea. We ought to think about that. Yes, you should. And what rests in this, what lies in this struggle, the reason I'm still on it, is they came out with the definitions of accredited, conditionally accredited, non-accredited. In order for a district to be fully accredited, we have to show academic growth. Okay, so my question is, what's the academic measure? What is it? And it's supposed to be growth, not a gotcha. They keep wanting to go back to the state assessments. And I've said all along, state assessment, it's an important data point. It is. But it's not a growth measure. Yet, just not getting anywhere with the state saying, well, let's do that. So last time I had the opportunity to discuss this with the deputy commissioner down at Southwest Plains, I said, then use the state assessments twice then. Give it in September, give it again in October, April. That's a growth measure. Would be utilized and the answer was, well, that's interesting. So We're in year 2. By year 5, they will come out with, and as my blood pressure continues to go up about this topic, we will stay on it. We will not fail for lack of trying. But the work being done by the principals, the teachers, BLTs, all of it, the kids, it's good. It's really good stuff. I just hope that if they utilize the definition I'm fearful they're going to use, of the 287 districts in the state of Kansas, over 200 will be conditionally accredited, not fully accredited. And that's a black eye. Well, it's a stupid eye is what it is. Not even black eye. It's a stupid eye. So I'll put that in the minutes somewhere. All right. That's it, Matt.
All right. So now we move on.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the bleacher project.
All right, Chad, I asked Chad to be here, kind of AD heading things up for us on this. As you well know, we're down the road. We're going down the road. And I'll let Chad talk about the timing of it all. We've signed paperwork. We're moving down the path, and we'll share with you what we're looking at for the color scheme. So let's do timing first. What's happening first, second,
Okay,
third.
so they're gonna come in at the end of June. At the end of June, they're gonna tear out all the old bleachers. That's gonna take roughly, I said about 6 to 8 days is what that was gonna take to rip everything out, get that out of there. And then, depending on when that takes place, the July will take about 3 weeks to install the new bleachers.
You're gonna get in trouble. You get closer. It's on.
Is it on?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you
Mr.
on there.
Ackerman was eyeballing you.
So I need to repeat that?
Staring through the
No,
back
you're
of your
fine.
head.
So it's gonna take roughly total about 4 to 5 weeks to complete the whole project. So it's gonna take a while. But it's a pretty in-depth process. They sent us some pictures of what they do when they rip out. They put a lot of layers, protective layers on the floor to protect that. So it's quite the process. But I think it's going to look really, really sharp once it's all set.
And of course, nothing happens in a vacuum. I mean, a part of this is we're going to, repaint the lane and different aspects of the court, and we refinish the courts every year. Well, that's got to be scheduled in as well. And then, of course, we got to think about summer activities. And so once again, it's not like, let's just do this. It's a lot of work goes in to make sure that Chad is dialoguing with all the coaches and all that kind of stuff. So we're lined up, ready to roll.
So on this, you could, I know everybody else can't see it, but this is the actual picture. Not that color, absolutely not. But, that is the bleacher we're going with. There is absolutely zero labor going in and out. So we can, when we pull these things out, these come out on their own. When they go in on their own. So it will require, and that'll be what we use, it'll be throughout the entire gym. So we won't, originally we had talked about having the wood backs like we have on the outside, but this is actually a little bit cheaper and it's gonna be a lot more user-friendly. So that's the actual design of what we're gonna be using or going with, I guess. You wanna talk about color?
Yep, please. You should have in your materials online the actual renditions of the colors.
So we went, they gave us 2 options as far as color scheme. We've got the black, and then with the orange and white lettering, as well as the white with the black and white, the orange with the black and white lettering. And after talking with coaches, Mr. Johnson, and, Tom, of course, and a couple others, the black with the orange and white lettering is kind of what everybody was kind of leaning towards. And if you've been to Goodland, the black bleachers they put in look really, really sharp, and I think this will really stand out. At first, they gave us an A and a B, which I did not notice the difference at the beginning. Scott and I were talking about it. So there's 2 different options here. You can see the one on my right, I guess your left, B. It has the, double
2
rows for the lettering, and that's kind of what we're leaning towards, was B. In the overall, by going this way and this design, we're actually increasing our seating as well with this. So the home side will be we'll have a little bit more room on the home side now. So as well as there'll be some cutouts for handicap accessible wheelchair. Do what?
Not exist.
We used to be grandfathered.
Oh, I got you. But if we don't use those, there is a lever underneath that we could pull that seat out, so we could still occupy seating there if it's not being used. So it's,
And also, if you'll notice on the home side, the upper left-hand corner, there are no seat backs. That's where the band is. And so, you know, that's gone into consideration as well, so, you know, to host our band, if you will.
yeah, on the upper or the lower left hand of the home side, you can see there's a little cutout. That would be for the drummer.
Trap set.
Trap set.
Yeah.
That way you don't have to take it all the way up top when we're moving it back and forth. On the visiting side, there is a couple cutouts for our benches, so that will be flush with the rest of the bleachers, so it won't be sticking out. So that'll be a nice change and addition as well. And that's all I've got.
Any questions, comments, concerns?
Tom, am I missing anything?
The only thing we're gonna have to do with the bleachers is we're gonna have to add power to them, because these are gonna be 3-phase instead of single phase. We got that.
That's in the works. We talked about that a couple weeks back. Yeah, it's in the works.
That's the only thing we're gonna have to get. No fuses, no more upstairs, nothing, so be just ball breakers.
Which way they want out of that.
Yeah, I think they were asking about that, which way they were gonna have to take everything out. Was it through the front doors? Because we can move those, yeah. Yep. Mhm.
Yeah, versus the back doorway, yeah.
We're responsible for the dumpsters, so we're gonna try to get 2 dumpsters at a time. We're gonna take all the wood first, and then we're gonna have F&A down here. We're gonna make an account with them where we can take all the metal, and we'll get the money back for the metal. So we'll have some recurring money back, so, which would be kinda, I don't know how much, but any little bit helps, so.
We'll take it.
You could sell the old seats. Maybe there's some old Holcomb dude that wants an old Holcomb seat.
You never know.
Yeah.
Lean back there. If you would approach the mic just a little bit.
I didn't want anybody to hear that.
All right, that's it on this
Okay.
particular area.
So B,
Yep. Good to go.
All right, thank you.
thanks, Chad. We don't need a motion or anything, do we? Not yet.
Oh, well, I mean, if you want to take a motion on it, you're welcome to, but you don't need to. It's not policy. So you already bought the
We
stuff.
bought, yeah. All right. Let's move on to the KASB policy update.
This is our second read. If you remember last month, we did the first read. In broad strokes again on these, it's basically procedural stuff gone into play, just to streamline our procedures. These all give the board more flexibility and more power. The only ones I really think that need to be highlighted to you is there's new policy around classroom displays. They're basically saying make sure you keep it to what you're supposed to be, what you're doing, what you're teaching. It's a potential First Amendment rights issue if somebody goes down the beaten path of putting stuff on the walls that probably do not add to the academic environment. So that gives the power to the board. And then LED family night. Currently, we have in our policy that in order to do something on Wednesday night or on a Sunday, it takes board action to do so. That deletes that policy. But of course, we wouldn't be doing those things unless we're talking to you about it anyway. So those are the policy updates on this. One more, I guess, to mention to you is that it codifies that truancy applies to students with exceptionalities. We always applied it to people anyway, but now it'd be in your policy. That students' exceptionalities can't just be truant as well. So I recommend that you approve the second read and adopt these proposed policies.
So moved. Second.
Ryan, Ruda, and Curtis. It's been moved and seconded to approve and accept the KASB proposed board policies. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, pandemic plan.
In order for any school district to continue utilizing ESSER 3 monies, every 6 months, we have to look at it and readdress it. We have been at level 1 all year long. We've had 28 students with confirmed cases of COVID, 9 adults. So a grand total of 37. We've had 59 kids with influenza. So, I mean, that's a greater number, if you will. I recommend, with no adjustments whatsoever to this, that you accept approve the district pandemic plan.
So moved.
Sean and Jill. Been moved and second to approve the district pandemic plan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. All right, new business, science curriculum adoption.
We run a 7-year rotation on curriculum materials, and this year's subject is science. So we have a really nice, thorough process of this. Somebody created before my time, where the teachers look at the materials, they use a rubric, and they really dig into it to say, is this the resource that we want? I'm not tied to the tree that says we all have to have the same textbook, as long as we can make sure that they're all tied back to the state standards and they lead to each other, and they do. So the process, the way it goes here, the teachers go and take a look at all the different things, or they request different resources to examine. They go do their work, and then they make a recommendation to the School Improvement Committee or Council, that's the SIC, who then act upon those recommendations and send it on to the Admin Council, who then acts on that and gives me a recommendation. And so the SIC voted to support the recommendations from the teachers. The admin team did the same thing. So I'm here recommending that we adopt the science curriculum materials as presented. When we go to make a purchase, it's going to run anywhere from $38,000 to $55,000. Yeah, but it's not $200,000. It's not free, that's for sure. We'll make the purchase in the next couple of weeks, because then we have time for it to come to us here in the spring. We'll run professional learning opportunities for the teachers through the spring and the summer, so they'll hit the ground running with the academics, or with the new curriculum materials in August. And once again, I want to reiterate the piece that we now know we can use ESSER 3 monies for this kind of thing. We will tap that. So I recommend the board adopt the science curriculum materials as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Ryan Schreibvogel and Curtis. It has been moved and seconded to adopt the science curriculum materials as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. All right, 2023-24 school calendar. approval.
As policy here, I think you have to, I'm supposed to bring a calendar to you by the April 15 or something like that. But ever since we've started working a year ahead, it's expedited the process. And so the 23-24 calendar went to vote. The black calendar carried the vote, 55 to 44. Not everybody voted, but we give them a chance. Everybody gets a chance to vote. Then it came back to the committee one more time. And in the meantime, sometimes you just can't see the forest for the trees, because the original calendar that went out, it showed the seniors' last day being May 1. And I think as Jerry said, do you realize that ends May 1? No, that's not good. And so it wasn't a good catch. So basically, moved the year back by a week. We kept all the concepts that the people voted on within the black calendar in place. So added a day at the beginning of the year, rearranged the work and professional learning days. These all were recommendations from teachers, by the way. Took away half a day for students in December, took away half a day for students in May, thus accounting for the extra day that was added. It was tit for tat, if you will. Everything else remained the same. The committee said there's no reason to take this back out for a vote. We're holding true to the concepts that people voted on. So, okay, you can do that. If you look in the negotiated agreement, the calendar committee their purpose is to advise. And so it's not, like you have to do what is said, but they advise. And their advice is recommend the board approve this calendar that's been presented to you. And they made that formal recommendation to me. Now I'm formally making that recommendation to you. So I recommend you approve the 23-24 calendar as presented. And oh, by the way, we're currently working on the 24-25 calendars. And that's a mess because of leap year. But we'll get her figured out, won't we, Randy?
Randy will get it figured out.
Yes, she will.
Trust me. All right.
Recommend approval of the 23-24 school calendar as presented.
Okay, Ryan Ruda
So moved.
and Ryan Schreibvogel.
Or second. How about that?
There you go.
You can unseat his motion.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 2023-2024 school calendar as presented. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? And next year, balanced schedule. All right, let's move to dedicated GCCC scholarship.
Yeah, there's no action to be taken on this, but we've got to figure out how we do it if ultimately we work through all the little details. Basically, it's an idea to set up an endowment scholarship for our kids who go to Garden City Community College. We've got, even if Ryan were not here, or not a part of us, we have a good, strong relationship with Garden City Community College. So the idea being, could we fund a scholarship, dedicated scholarship to that place, partially funded by teacher or staff members and the district. And the idea being, if a person were to do something pre-tax, let's say $25 a month, then the district, we could choose whatever number we come up with to match that. So we could say, the district's willing to put $2,000 toward this. And so if we got enough people who want, I've not done the math on that, how many people at $25 a month would get us to $2,000, well, that'd be $4,000, right? And then it'd sit there until, what's the magic mark? 10,000?
10,000's when we
Yeah.
hit full endowed.
Yeah, and so, I mean, it might take a little while to get there, and as I've written to you guys, I don't control giving. I don't know who would and who would not. But we do have people who currently give to United Way. They've just chosen to, of the goodness of their heart, and the Greater Western Foundation, and it's the advantage to them, it's pre-tax dollars, the advantage to us would be pre-tax dollars. So just throwing that out to you, because we've got plenty of lawns to mow. I think this is good for the kids. I think it's good for our district. I think it's good for Garden City Community College. So I'd like to be chasing this to put it together. We'd implement it next year. We have the Plan 125 sign up in August, so that's when we will have unveiled it by that time. And before that, I will have brought it to you as a policy item. So there you go. That's idea for you to discuss of interest.
What do we do if Biden makes it all free?
We celebrate. It's free.
It really does, yeah. See a chance in.
I'll be the first to step up and donate my USD 363 salary.
You are the MVP of the BOE tonight.
I think that all us board members, we will just donate our full salary to the endowment.
What you don't know is the law change that's happening where you're going to get paid. No, I'm joking.
We know. We're not worth it. All right. Any further discussion? Okay, let's move on to the exclusive vendor contract concept.
This is another just a discussion topic for you to think about. It came forward from one of our coaches saying, hey, have we ever thought about going into an exclusive contract, for apparel or, equipment that they use? So, well, 7 years ago we did something. Well, we've done it with Pepsi. I know that. But with what group?
Yeah, we visited with them about.
Oh, you talked about it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Discussed.
Well, so now I'm bringing it to you again saying, well, I didn't know that 7 years ago. There's interest in this. If we follow, our precedents, because we do have a 7-year policy or deal in place with Pepsi right now, which will pay us $27,000 over time. That ends in 24-25, by the way. So it's not unheard of. I didn't realize that, Sean, that it's already been discussed once, but fine. The one caveat is if the board says, sure, why not? Let's go for this. I would look at each contract each group brings forward. And by the way, it could be for the choir too. It's not just sports. I don't know what the choir buys, but they buy something probably. Yeah, there you go. And if we get a percentage off, good. If we get 10% off on football helmets, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. And we would run each individual contract through KASB as our lawyers because, like they had said, I talked to them about it, you'll want to be held to some obscure little thing. They write into the contract from Oregon, because it's not legal in Kansas. So I guess, are you interested in moving down this path? I don't see a negative personally. Just a lot of work, but I don't see a negative.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't either.
Okay. All right. So now, let's see, 25 minutes?
I changed it to 30.
Okay. All right. Executive session, 30 minutes. All right, let's go in at 7:05 for 30 minutes. Dr. Myers.
And principals as I need them.
And principals as needed.
Yes.
So moved.
Jill? And Curtis. Moved and seconded to go into executive session at 7:05 for 30 minutes with Dr. Myers and principals as needed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are back in session. I need a motion to approve the hiring of Tori Gonzalez as a halftime preschool teacher for the current 22-23 school year.
So moved.
It says, oh, mine says 22-23. Okay, so, yeah, for the 23-24 school year. Okay. So we had Shrivogel and Curtis. It's moved and seconded to hire Tori Gonzalez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, I need a motion to hire Elizabeth Friesen as a third grade teacher.
Second.
Curtis and Jill. Moved and seconded to hire Elizabeth Friesen as a third grade teacher for the 23-24 school year. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, I need a motion to hire Ashlyn Zambrano as a third grade teacher for the 23-24 school year.
So moved.
Shrivogel and Sheets. It's been moved and seconded to hire Allison Zambrano. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, I need a motion to hire Emily Smith as a middle school full-time ESOL para.
So moved.
Jill and Sean. Moved and seconded to hire Emily. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, I need a motion to hire Jonathan Sanders as a part-time maintenance employee.
So moved.
Second.
Ryan Shrivogel and Ryan Ruda. Moved and seconded to hire Jonathan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, I need a motion to hire Carnes Esperanza as a part-time special ed route driver.
So moved.
Sean
Second.
and Ryan Shrivogel. Moved and seconded to hire Cernus. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, I need a motion to accept the supplementals as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Curtis and Jill. Moved and seconded to accept the supplementals as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. I need a motion to approve a $500 a month payment to Kent Teeter to be the grounds coordinator for the months of February, March, April, and May.
So moved. Second.
Sean and Jill. Moved and second to hire Kent Teeter. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay, I need a motion to approve a one-year extension for all principals.
So moved. Second.
Curtis and Ryan Ruda. So moved and second to extend all the principals' contracts by 1 year. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Anything else?
No. Nope, we're good.
Okay. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Curtis and Ryan Shrivogel. Moved and second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?